What's going on YouTube? Mitch here, and today we are taking a look at the Hinderer Jurassic Magnacut slicer. So this is kind of how it comes, and just a reminder that I'm keeping these things casual, nothing too crazy, and if there's any questions or anything like that as we go, I am absolutely up for discussions, so leave the comments below, but let's get to the good stuff. This is how it comes out of the box, as we can kind of see here. Nothing too special. This box probably looks bigger than it actually is. That was one of the first things I noticed actually opening this thing up, was just how small this box actually is. So out comes the knife. Nothing too crazy there. It's packaged well with a bunch of foam. Is it the best? Obviously not. But this is how they come, and let's be honest, your pocket is going to be worse padded than this box. So anyway, in the box we also have a couple stickers that comes with things, which is awesome. That'll go on my bike stand at some point. Hand assembled and tuned by either Lane Zay or Lanny Zay, something like that. That's pretty cool. Nice little touch. It would be nice if that was dated, but beggars can't be choosers, as they say. That is everything that's in the box, I believe. As we know, with the tri system that they have, it comes with everything you need to kind of convert the standard package that comes, when this is shipped to Canada, it comes installed with the Teflon. So I've already changed this out for the sake of just having the knife ready to go for this video. But it does come with the phosphor bronze, as we can see here. That would be these little guys there. And then there's the Teflon with some spacers in there. So the way it kind of works is when you take this guy apart, you need to actually take out some spacers that make up the difference between bearings and washers. So pretty simple, but this is kind of what everyone's here to see. So this is how it comes in a nice little Ziploc bag. If you're used to buying drugs off the street, you'll have seen lots of these bags in a smaller form. I'm just joking, please don't do drugs. So anyway, this is it, guys. This is my first Hinderer. I've got a number of Benchmades. I've got a couple Chris Reeves as well. And I'm really excited to kind of compare them and contrast them and see what they're all about. But I should also say this is my first Magnacut. Is it? Or no, I've got a small Nkosi that's, or not Nkosi, a small Sebenza that's Magnacut. So pretty excited to kind of take a look at this thing and see what it is all about. So let's see here. Like I said, I've already cracked this guy open and put the bearings inside it, so it fires out real easily, which is always appreciated. And it looks sharp, man. Like couple things right off the hop that I will say that I love. I love the flipping tab here. This is fantastic. It's just so cool to have that little protection on the blade for when you are closing it. You're not gonna kind of pinch your hand, which is pretty cool. And that's cool. You can kind of feel the detent there, detent ball on the inside. So it does stop. And then you kind of overcome that for the drop shot, I imagine. Yeah, so there you go. And then in terms of firing it out, you can see that little tab there, which, my initial thought on this was that this is going to be kind of an annoying thing in the pocket. But if you look at how the overall profile of the Jurassic, you can kind of see that the flipper tab is not really any higher than the rest of the top of the knife. And as we'll compare here shortly, this isn't a big knife, but I will say that it is bigger than I thought it would be, in that I was kind of expecting, I think it's like a 3¼ inch blade, and we'll measure this, but I was kind of expecting it to be a little bit smaller than it was. So definitely mid-size, but definitely bigger than I had expected, which is awesome. The Hinderer logo on the blade there looks super sharp as well. Just looks great. And like I said, it fires out super easy. The Magnacut blade, it's got a nice finish. I'm trying to kind of show that against the light so you can kind of see some of the texture on it. It just looks really nice. I know that when you fire the light back into the camera, it starts freaking out. So hopefully it's not doing that right now, but yeah, that looks great. So it is a Magnacut blade, like I said. And one thing I do notice right off the hop with it is that it's not quite as sharp as some of the other knives that I've got out of the box, you know, Benchmade Spyderco included. I don't know if that's a Magnacut thing or a Hinderer thing. Not the end of the world, but yeah, let's get a couple measurements on this guy. I know everyone likes to know sizing, and I'll do my best to show that. So let's see here. All right, so on the blade, I am getting a little over 3 inches, 3 1/4 for the actual grind of the blade. In terms of overall blade length, though, you're to the middle of the choil there, you're at about 3 1/2, which is kind of surprising. Like I said, when I saw 3 1/4, I was like, oh, you know, it's not a huge knife, but you know what? It's definitely has a little bit more stance than I was expecting. Overall length, we're coming in hair under 8 inches, maybe 7 3/4, 7 7/8, somewhere in that range. So it's not particularly huge. Now in terms of comparables, and remember, the camera's at an angle, so I get this a lot. You know, when you put a knife up here, it's going to look a little longer than it is. So let's kind of put it up against. Here we go. There's the Freak. So very similar, a little bit smaller, obviously, a little shorter than the Freak, Super Freak. There's your Bug Out. So longer than the Bug Out, but quite a little bit longer, so not crazy longer. So good comparison there. The Osborne, which is a little bit longer than the Bug Out for reference. So that should give you some good comparison. And then maybe what I'll do as well, is while we have the Bug Out there, let's compare it with a Sebenza, which is, there's a full-size Sebenza. And do we have and then a small Sebenza for reference. So to kind of give you the overall size, there you go. So small Sebenza, large, and the Jurassic. So nothing too crazy, but definitely a you know, fairly hefty knife in the hand, and you know, just a good size, like a good EDC size. In terms of width on this guy, let's take a look here at let's pull out that Sebenza again here. See if we can take a look at this from a width perspective, a handle width. You can kind of see, not super wide, but definitely has some girth to it. Maybe the, do I have the Inkosi here? I think that's the Inkosi, there we go. So this is an Inkosi for comparison, so similar size as the, obviously as the Sebenza, just a little bit wider, a little bit more in line with, I'd say, this knife. So not super crazy in width, obviously. Hopefully the camera can pick this up, but you know, pretty close. Yeah, actually very similar. Very similar. You know what, that's probably a bit better of a comparison than the Sebenza, let's be honest, is the Inkosi, because this guy is a little bit beefier, but still, you know, a gentleman's kind of knife in that, you know, it's got a thinner profile with the side lugs, so there we go. So that would be the Jurassic. So we've got the measurements. Now let's talk about kind of the build on this guy. So, okay, a couple things that right off the bat that, you know, I don't know if it's a good thing, a bad thing, but as you can kind of see, it's got the G10 handle on here. So a lot of people, what they end up doing, because this is a titanium frame with a Magnacut blade, they end up taking off this G10 scale and putting on something like a titanium one. And for reference, this guy is a $400, four and a quarter, I think, in its stock form, without any fancy hardware or anything. So to take this into a full tie kind of setup, you're going to be adding another $200 on top of the $425. So you're in 6 and a quarter to have a nice fully titanium handle instead of the G10. So a lot of people, when they see that, oh my God, it comes with G10, but I don't want orange, I don't want red, I don't want green, whatever. It's like, you just buy it if you're going to change it anyway, because at the end of the day, it's literally these couple screws on top here, 1, 2, and this guy, and that handle comes flying off without even any problems. And look how thin that is. Look how little material there is on there. That's all the G10 is, just the blue part. That's all there is to it. That comes off like no tomorrow. You know, Rick Hinderer, they're all about making this knife yours. So you know, don't quote me on his verbatim on that, but you know, a lot of the screws here, so this main screw here, these guys here, which I think are like T6 or something, something like that, and then these little hardware bits, those can all change. And then as we get onto the back as well, you can kind of see these little hardware bits. You can change all these little tabs and make it your own. You can change colors, go copper, black, whatever, DLC, and you can really make this your own, which is awesome. Now, in terms of the hardware to take this guy apart, you know, you can use, what I did is I actually used a couple pennies, because it's a lighter material than the titanium hardware and frame, so that I didn't want to scratch it up. That's just my preference. I didn't want to damage anything and have all of a sudden a big problem on my hands. So that's what we did there. But just use a couple pennies. They come apart pretty easily. Factory, they are Loctited, just so you guys know. And it is a little bit annoying to take apart at first, but once you have it apart and you kind of crack it a little bit, it's fine. Not a big deal. Now, when we are looking at the back here, a couple things. So the pocket clip, you can obviously change and put on either end of the knife via these tiny little screws here, so you can flip that around, which is awesome. Just makes it customizable for the way you want to carry it, or depending if you want to change that clip. I actually like this. You know, you have a little bit of knife sticking out here, which is nothing crazy. Once it's on your jean pocket there, I think it looks great. It's honestly not too crazy. Like I said, the marking there for the tri-way system. So that's any of these Jurassics, obviously, I think should have them, but if not, that's the marking for it. The Magnacut is etched into the blade there, not etched, but I think it's probably laser engraved or something, which looks awesome. And then we get into the actual hardware of the knife here. So when we look, obviously, it's a frame lock. A couple things, let's see if I can get the camera to kind of show this well. This is a difficult one for me to do while I'm talking and while operating a camera. So hopefully I can focus on that, but here we go. So we have the frame lock that engages this mechanism here when you push it over. Hopefully you can see this. Let's see, you can see how it's engaged, disengaged. So that's all that's engaged. So a couple things that I will notice off the hop compared to like a Chris Reeve. The angle on this guy, it's not flat. Where let's go back to our friend, the Inkosi here. You can see how much of that frame lock is actually engaged compared to the Jurassic. So you're probably, you know, 2/3 on the Inkosi and maybe 1/4 on the Jurassic. That's kind of interesting to me. I don't know the point of that or why they do that, but you can see a couple things, like I said. So they're engaging less of it as well. It's angled. So take that for what you will. I don't know, you know, I can't see this being a problem when you're actually using the knife. Which is fine, but you can definitely see some different material here as well, I should say. So it's kind of, I mean, I'm guessing that's stainless if I were to guess, and I'm betting you that's replaceable on the inside. I'm actually not too sure how they do that, but pretty cool. I'm sure they have their reasoning for it, but yeah, less of that frame lock is actually engaged at once, which is interesting. In terms of feel, once you get those bearings in there, my God, that thing is so, jeez, it just flicks around like no tomorrow, and just shoots right out of your pocket. Like just, oh, I love it, man. The other thing I should say too is, compared to a Chris Reeve, when you are operating the release here, so I'm so used to using my thumb and pushing it away from the knife. So hopefully you can see that, but I push it away just like on the Reeve. But I don't know if I have to use my thumb here. I think I can actually use my index finger. So if I put just my index finger on the back, I can actually kind of pull it away too, because it's so droppy. See what I mean? So I don't know what guys do, but it's kind of cool to have options. So like I said, using your index finger, just pull it and that'll pop it down as well. It's pretty light as well. It's not crazy. The Chris Reeves is a lot heavier, I'd say. And I don't know if that's by design or what. I will say, comparing the two of these knives, they're both extremely well made and very similar, as you can see. So both titanium, which is awesome. This guy is, I believe they call it a working finish, and you can get different types of finishes on this depending on what you want. Whereas this guy's a glass blasted version of the Sebenza, but yeah, very, very high quality, really good craftsmanship. You know, it's very, very impressive and refreshing to see that, you know, someone's really taken the time to put some thought into this and make it so that, you know, it is customizable. It is, you can make it your own, like he says, you know, if you want to change hardware, if you want to, you know, just make it your unique one, you know, whereas a lot of the Chris Reeves stuff, you know, it's kind of, it is what it is. You have a couple different blades to choose from, and that's kind of it. Maybe a little, little pigtail that you want to throw on there. And that's kind of it. Like, there's not a whole lot you can do with it. And don't flame me in the comments for this, because there's going to be people that are like, oh my God, Mitch, you can send it here and get a carbon fiber this and change the lanyard that way and do this. I'm sure you can. But in terms of buying one of these and the accessories right available, right from Rick Hinderer, out of the box, they're almost unbeaten. So really cool that way. And they've got a loyal following for that reason, because people just love customizing these things and changing them up and making them their own and adding their own little flair to it. Am I going to do that? I don't know yet. To start things off, I want to, you know, I want to bring this out and try it out and see how I like it. Like, I don't necessarily think it's going to be a problem, and it's definitely gonna be in my pocket for a while. So back to the blade itself. So this guy is, I should have probably said, this is the slicer. So you can see the grind goes right up to the top here, basically, which is awesome. So it's going to be thin. It's not a hollow ground. So, well, I don't think it's a hollow grind, but you know, it feels, usually on the Reeves and stuff, you can kind of feel that it's cut in. It's like bellied into the blade here. So hollow ground, and it doesn't feel like there really is one here. And if there is, it's very minimal. Definitely, you know, let me know in the comments if there is, and I'm completely out and left, because it has been known to happen. But just a good all-around multi-purpose blade, like on a blade that's 3 1/4 on the cutting edge. You know, it's a drop point, obviously, and it's just an all-around slicey dicey kind of blade. It's fantastic. So I think that's awesome. In terms of engaging on the mechanism itself, so like I said, it's a frame lock, so it locks against where my thumb is, right here as well. You can kind of see on the studs here, that's pushed right up against the handles and the frame. So it's got kind of 2 points of contact there, and then the third would be on the jimping here, and that's pushed up against this stud. So you've got 3 points. It's going to be really secure, and I'm starting to see why guys really, really like this knife. And really like the brand. Like, it's just a very well solid, you know, right on par with Chris Reeves for sure. In a different way, it's more of a, how should I say this, industrial kind of feel to it, more of a tactical, you know, big, bold in your face versus a little more subtle and sleek. But the ergos on it, my God, they feel terrific. And in your hand, that spine on the Jurassic handle, that just feels so good. The jimping's right in the right spot. Just feels unbelievable. You know, it's a nice resting spot here for your thumb, so that when you fire this guy open, right, because you are firing it down. A lot of people complain, you know, they like having an indent where they fire that guy in. So I dig that right off the hop. When you fire that down, your thumb, it rests so elegantly right in that spot. You know, it just feels solid. And you know, I've got big hands. I'm 6'3", so my hands are, you know, they're big hands. You know what they say about guys with big hands? They like big knives. That's a good joke, huh? I'm a comedian here. But yeah, they tend to like big knives. You know, I've got an Adamas here that would make this thing look pretty tiny. And I use this thing all the time. I use it every day. And you know, that fits great in my hand. And I like to feel that because you can wear a glove on it. Well, this is, to be honest, it's a smaller knife, but it fits like a bigger knife. And it fits so much, like just the ergos right in here. It's so nice compared to the Benchmade stuff. And I really dig it. I would even say more so, let's get that Uncosi back out here and look at that. And look at them, compare the two. Like it's a much finer fit in your hand than the Chris Reeves. And that's not a bad thing. Like Chris Reeves is a great fit knife. And the reason I've got some of the side on here, or some of the micarta inlays, is because it makes it feel like a bigger knife. And this is thicker to begin with, and just feels terrific in your hand. You can really choke up on it, and the top of the blade's flat, and oh man, this is killer. People are gonna love this thing. I don't know what, you know, I see they're doing a big run of them right now, and people are all over these things, and I think they're going to sell like hotcakes. I think that it's going to be, you know, XM18 3.5 was everyone's jam for a number of years here, and still is a fantastic knife. I'm still trying to get mine. But a lot of people absolutely are going to be floored when they get a Jurassic slicer with a Magnacut configuration, and it's just going to blow their minds because it just feels so good with that raised back, with the shorter handle. Everything just fits so nicely, customizable, and it's a lot longer of a blade than you'd think. Like on paper, it looks smaller than it is, but once you have it in your hand, it's a bigger knife than you think, and it just fits and feels so good. I'm impressed. So hopefully you guys found that helpful, and you know, gave you some perspective on the Jurassic, and hopefully you guys like it. But if not, definitely leave the comments below and let me know what you think, because I'm totally down for feedback and what you guys, you know, think that I said wrong or said right or anything. I read every single comment on the channel and always appreciate you know, correcting me. So that's it, guys. Appreciate you stopping by and taking a look at the Rick Hinderer Jurassic Magnacut slicer. And yeah, do me a favor, hammer that like button. It helps the video, and you know, hopefully helps bring you guys more content like this, just casual fireside conversations without pressure, and just kind of a loose style to them. So that's kind of how I roll, guys. Until next time, I guess I'll catch you guys later, and I'm gonna go EDC the shit out of this thing, because I'll be honest, it is unbelievable. And I am digging every single moment with it, and it's just so good. I'm so impressed and so happy that I got it. So that's it. All right, guys. Catch you later. Have fun, and enjoy the weekend. Cheers.